Welcome to the Middlesex Moments radio show. I'm Dr. Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, right here in Middletown, Connecticut. And joining me today are two of my colleagues, Trent Wright and Matt Weber. And we're going to be talking about our MXCC Scholarship 5K run, which will be happening here around the perimeter of our campus on Saturday, October 27th, 2012, of course, at 10 a.m. in the morning. So, Trent, let's start with you. Is it the 9th or 10th year that this race is happening?
It's actually the 9th.
The 9th. And how did it get started? Were you around when it was starting? What was it like back in the day?
I started it because there was not an event in the fall for bringing the faculty and staff and the alumni together during the fall, so I put together the first road race, and I think it was small, and I broke even that year, and we decided that we'd go and try it again, and I guess every single year since then it's increased in terms of the number of sponsors, the net proceeds, and the number of runners every single year.
So in all those 9 years, has it rained every October? And last year, of course, it snowed?
Well, the weather report Friday night was that the state would be totally destroyed by the snowstorm. And in reality...
Snowmageddon.
Yeah, and a lot of runners wait till Friday to make their final decision and come in and register on race day that morning, which we can do also. But that kept the crowd down, although a lot of people did register in advance, and a few did not show up that day because of what they heard on the weather report. But actually that day, we completed the race, near perfect weather, and the awards were given, the course was cleaned up, and as I left to go in my car, the first snowflakes came down at about 5 noon. So we actually lucked out for that day, but the crowd may have been dampened down because of what the initial weather report was.
Has it rained in previous years?
One year there was a cold rain.
Yeah.
And I don't think any other time we have had just a normal fall, cool weather day.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the actual race track. It's not really a track. The course, thank you. Matt, you've run this before, right?
Yes.
So
two years in a row. This is going to be my third year.
Could you describe it for people who might think they might want to come out and walk or run?
It's a beautiful track, gravel, some pavement, slight inclines, and it doubles back. So you go out in one direction and you come back in the other, and it's absolutely gorgeous, especially this time of the year. It goes along the reservoir in one section.
And there's a brook that kind of tumbles down some rocks, too, as I recall, because I was impressed by how natural it is up there.
Well, when you're running and you have your heartbeat in your head, you don't necessarily hear trickling water.
Right.
But you see it for sure.
And what kinds of, I was here last year, so I was at the 1 or 2 mile mark, and I was impressed by the diversity of runners, old folks, young people with pushing strollers with babies in it, and that's so this is a race for anyone, right?
Oh yeah, and that's part of the draw. I think the first race I ran with a stroller. Last year I didn't because it was so cold, and some races they don't let you use the stroller. So it really is fun, and walkers too, because you encounter the walkers on your run back.
Right.
So it's excellent. People are cheering you on, and it's fun.
Well, when we come back, I want to hear about your training regimen. So it's a casual run or a fun run, but it's also an opportunity for serious runners to do a clocked race.
Yeah, stopwatch is on.
Yeah. So when we get back, let's talk about that a little bit more. Welcome back. With me today are two of my colleagues, Trent Wright and Matt Weber, and we're talking about our Scholarship 5K walk run scheduled for October 27th, which is a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Matt teaches art here at the college. Which courses do you teach?
Drawing, 2D design, sculpture, ceramics, art history.
And you curate our art shows and our
Yes.
collection. Yeah, it's great. So, but another part of you is that you're a runner. Are you a serious runner?
Not a serious runner, but running is a great way to be outside, especially with young children. It creates naps, just pushing the stroller, and that's been very helpful. But my wife and I really were serious walkers, and then we walked faster and faster, and then working with a running group with the YMCA, we started running. And so this is the third year now.
And you're preparing now for this race. So what are you doing?
The preparation is more about training for a 5K. So you run faster for a shorter period of time rather than longer, more slowly, like you might for a 10K, for example. So my normal regiment is about a 10K during the summer and throughout the winter.
Where do you run?
The Farmington Valley Greenways is one of the rail trails.
Ah.
And so it's an excellent car-free place to run.
Yeah, I think car-free is
Yeah.
the most important piece of that. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry. I live in Middletown, and there are a lot of, appear to me to be Wesleyan students running in the streets, and I worry about them because the roads twist and turn too, so you can be, cars could come around. So runner safety is very
Oh, yeah.
critical. And at night to have those vests on as well.
And all runners know somebody who's been killed. I mean, it does happen.
Oh, yeah. So well, this case, in our case, this course is completely cut off from traffic.
This
so
is
it's
safe,
so
yes.
and beautiful. And overall, how long have you been running?
This will be my third year running as an adult. I ran when I was younger, as a teenager.
Yeah. Do you have a goal for your time?
I would like to run 8-minute miles. That's a nice fast pace for someone my age. And I'm 37.
And you're 37. And what are
Yeah.
your recommendations for shoes? And I suppose we
I'm using
shouldn't.
the free runs now, which are called minimal shoes, and they're comfortable, but they slow you down.
Describe a free run?
They have an open sole that expands and contracts, and so it's supposed to simulate barefoot running without the discomfort of pebbles and other road hazards that might touch your feet otherwise.
But they don't separate your toes out.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. You have to have nicely shaped feet to fit those.
Yeah.
I went to the store, tried them on, and they
Wasn't good?
didn't fit.
Yeah. It's remarkable to me how much
Yeah.
diversity there is available in buying shoes for walking and running.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but the shoes are really critical, right? I mean, you want your feet to be
They are.
protected.
They are.
And that's a lot of pounds per square inch that when you throw the weight of your body on each foot. Yeah.
And bad shoes create health problems, and good shoes allow you to run, effortlessly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the key.
So, on that lovely note of how great it is to have good shoes and what a great safe course we have, Trent, tell us how people might contact us if they want to register to run, or what are the mechanics involved in this?
Well, they can register by filling out one of our flyers, and they can go to the college website, or they can go to the Middlesex Community College Foundation website, or they can call me. The foundation website is www.mxccfoundation.org. The cost to register is $15 by October 12th. After October 12th, including race day registration, the fee is $20. And we're offering nice shirts.
And there's sort of a little food or a little refreshments following the race as well?
Yeah, we have a lot of food at the race. Bagels, apples, drinks, sports drinks, coffee, apple juice. We have water at the just before the turnaround point. We have a water station. We have Pratt & Whitney Screaming Eagles Jazz Band. We try to make it what I kind of call it is best small races in the state, because it has a lot to offer, with not only a beautiful course, a great number of awards, raffles, band, food, and it's kind of a real nice event.
Mm-hmm. Where will they be playing, the Screaming Eagles?
Be playing inside at our student lounge, and over the last few years they also play our national anthem right before the start of the race.
So they'll be outdoors initially?
A few of them, yes.
And then inside. All right. And then everybody, so if I were coming to this campus and really don't come up here very often, maybe once or twice a year, where would I go?
You'd come into the lower parking lot and park, and come into Founders Hall, which is the main administration building, in the cafeteria, and that's where registration, which opens at 8:30 a.m., and we register people literally right up to race time, about a minute before there are those latecomers, and we can accommodate them.
And the start of the race is?
Right outside the college, right at the entrance, the first entrance to the college, and then
Which
it
is
goes
by Chapman Hall, the library?
at the
So
corner of the library
Okay.
and the main street.
All right. And who's going to fire the gun to start the race?
We had someone in mind, and that person was unable to make the event, so we're working on that person. We have someone in mind, but we haven't committed
To be announced.
to be in it.
So I'm kind of curious about how, since I actually used to run races myself back in the day, but how do you actually get somewhat accurate times? I mean, so how's the timing piece work?
We have a timing company, and I spent a lot of years trying to keep that cost to a minimum and still getting good service, and I actually switched timers about 4 years ago to this particular company because it's run by runners, actual runners, and they understand how that works. They bring their own truck, they have their own laptop computers. We register people by paper. We give them a list before the race, computerized list. Then they enter the people the morning of the race that register that morning. And then literally a few minutes after the race, they spit out a list in order of the winners. and then they break it out by age groups, so we can then go to the award ceremony, the people the awards for all the age groups in male and female.
But here's a question I've always wondered. So let's say there are a couple of ringers in this collection of 150, 200 runners, whoever, how many run walkers there are. But people who run marathons, I mean, are really phenomenal. How do they make their way to the front of the pack? Because doesn't it start as just a big clump of people?
The courtesy is we ask that the professional runners allowed to line up on the front line. Those people that are really looking to run a specific time and are extremely competitive, we put them up in the front. The walkers are in the back, far back, and in the middle are those, the weekend warriors who are coming to jog or whatever. But there are, I've been running 35 years, there are some serious people at the start, and they're looking to either make their best time or run a faster time than last year. And they're very competitive. I'm
curious to understand how this running, it's not a trend, it's not a rage. I mean, I think running is a lifestyle for a lot of people now. And how did that happen in this country? Because running wasn't the sport of choice for a long time. It was people like Jim Fix. Remember he was it was a long, slow distance. He had this proposal that people, instead of trying to run really fast, run for cardiopulmonary health and for physical fitness and things like that. But that was back in the 70s, and here we are in the 2012s, and there are a lot of people who do this. So why do you think that is?
Well, you're right. It grew in the 70s, peaked in the 80s, and it sort of tailed off a little bit. But the reason these are relatively popular is because they're usually for a cause, and people want to support the cause. They may not be a runner that competes, but they want to support the cause. And then we find that the smaller races, a lot of people who are getting older and have other issues in terms of their health can't do a half marathon or a marathon, and they're looking to run a fairly short race. It's over in a short amount of time, and they can have the rest of their day available. And with a distance of 5K, which is 3.1 miles, you can almost have your whole family either jog, walk, or participate. And not everybody can do that when you're running 10 milers, half marathons, and full marathons. You're out there most of the morning, 3, 4, 5 hours. This is a race that's, for the competitive people, are probably going to be in around 17 minutes. There's going to be a lot of people at around 22 to 25 minutes, and then there'll be another bunch of 27, and then your walkers after that. And they find that they can handle that and enjoy the rest of the day.
So on that note, let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll keep talking about running and walking here at Middlesex Community. Well, we're back. This is Anna Wasesha. I'm the president of Middlesex Community College, and we have an event here this fall. It's an MXCC Scholarship 5K, and I've been talking with my colleagues Trent Wright and Matt Weber. Trent is on the administrative staff here at the college, and Matt teaches art. But they're both, I would say, head and shoulders involved in this 5K run. Before the break, Trent was saying that one of the appeals of these smaller races is that they're often organized around a cause. And, obviously more people can participate in a course of 3.1 miles. It's just a little easier to imagine walking or running that amount of distance on a Saturday morning. But what is the cause that this race is supporting?
Well, it's sponsored by the Middlesex Community College Foundation. Proceeds go to the foundation to support student scholarships here at the college and the academic programs at Middlesex Community College. The money's raised here, stays here, and helps the students right here.
So it's a kind of a local event supporting our local college. So, and you were saying there were a record number of sponsors this year?
As of last week, we had about 27 sponsors, and that's more than we've ever had. And there are a lot of local businesses. For instance, Middlesex Hospital, Tower Laboratories, Middle Oak Insurance, Whalen Engineering, Liberty Bank, Seasons Federal Credit Union, some of the unions that represent employees, our 4Cs union that represents our faculty and staff, and it goes on with some doctors and dentists and all law firms and accounting firms.
Just about everybody. That's great. Everybody's wanting to help out with the college's efforts to make sure that students can afford their college education, and they're also really intrigued by the idea of coming out here and exploring the perimeter of the college campus. And how many runners do you think, well, first of all, you started this 9 years ago. How many runners do you think you had that first year, roughly?
35.
Wow. And what's your hope for this year?
I'd like to exceed 150. And if the weather holds off, with the forecast later in the week, for those runners that register on race day, I think we'll exceed 150, which will be also a record field for the race.
That would be great. And so it's October 27th, right around the time of Halloween. Last year Halloween was canceled. Are your children old enough to do Halloween,
They are,
Matt?
and they were crushed.
I was disappointed myself, right. So if the weather's good and people come out, you might have even more than 150. Lots of parking. It's easy to park here. And I think people know how to reach our campus, but if they don't, is there a map online?
Yes, the course map is on the website at mxccfoundation.org. They can call me at 860-343-5708. They can register the day of the race, and we'd be happy to have them here. And if they don't want to participate, they can still register, what I call it a registration, send in a form as a friend of the MXCC Foundation. And we had two more this morning that said for whatever reason they have another event or something, but they'd like to contribute and write a check and support the event.
That's it. Well, and so that's one way to do it, which is you don't come, but you actually support the event. And another thing I imagine, and I will speak now about my experience of the Twin Cities Marathon, which is an annual event and it always happens in October, which is a beautiful time there too. The amount of people who line up along Summit Avenue and the River Road is amazing, and I myself used to do that because it's so wonderful to see the runners going by. So people could come simply to cheer the runners on if they wanted to.
Absolutely.
Or to get a sense in their own minds of whether or not they could imagine themselves doing a 3.1 walk or run.
Just come and listen to the music.
Or listen to the music, that's right. So we want to invite everybody in the community to come over here on that Saturday. Let's talk about ages, though, as you talk about high school age. So what's the bottom age? Is the lowest age 14?
14 and under is their own division.
Oh, it's their own division. So you could have 8-year-olds running with 11-year-olds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, we talked last year, we had a kids run, and if we get enough interest, we'll probably break that population out and just have a half mile.
Yeah, shorter.
At this point, my hands are kind of full trying to manage, a race where I have the age divisions fairly well represented, and every, male, female, 15, then it's in 10-year increments, and so it kind of keep it that I go 3 deep in the trophies for each division. So with a race that's not huge, it's a chance for some people to really get a trophy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the oldest age grouping is 70 and older?
And we've had over 80. And it was a gentleman who's since passed away, who came here a number of years, which was one of our faculty members' father, Ray Dennis's father from Long Island, who ran almost up until the time he passed away, and was extremely competitive for his age group.
Wow.
So
yeah.
We've seen them all from 8 years old to probably 84 years old.
So what's your best memory of all these races over all these years?
I guess you could say that we've learned, because we've changed the course, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Really? What was it before?
Well, we had it more off campus and a kind of a loop. Well, we started one time where they ran around the campus and made loops, and one time the lead group got lost, didn't make a key turn.
That would be memorable.
Memorable for them, and they were so far ahead of the field that it was actually ridiculous, and they're really good runners. So, and that meant a lot of turns if you keep it on the campus to get the mileage in. And we finished right in front of the library. Then we switched and we went around this beautiful area, but we went up a huge hill, went off campus a little further, and went up a monster hill. And the runners just said that it was so brutal. And then so we switched to this out and back course with some really mild hills and a downhill finish. Mm-hmm. And it's easier to manage because you just go out and you turn around at a cone and you come back. So you can't really make a wrong turn, and you finish downhill. And I think that has been something we've learned about, and people enjoy the course. They don't have any problems. They don't get lost. They don't have to memorize turns. So we've, over the years, got this, pretty well reviewed.
Matt's nodding. Do you run?
I do.
365 days a year, roughly,
if
year
there's
round?
snow on the trail, they don't plow it,
Mm-hmm.
so I go on a treadmill.
Oh, okay.
But if it's clear and warm enough, I'll do it.
And what's the best feeling about running? Why do you like it?
I think that especially being my age, there's something nice about feeling every part of your body.
Mm.
You know, you feel your heart, your lungs, you know, you're sweating, and it's, you know, something that doesn't happen that much as an adult.
Right.
And you have a singular focus. Everything else slides away.
They say that there's a psychology for the long distance runner, that, you know, because what are you thinking about when you're running?
As little as possible. And actually thoughts slow you down, they're distracting, and so it's more of an emptiness.
But at the same time, you kind of get into a rhythm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just listening to breathing is what I do the most. So if I don't hear myself breathing hard enough, then I'm going too slow.
So you want to be a little bit pushed.
I mean, you're out there, you're exercising, you know, like being
Right.
at the gym. You want to push
Right.
yourself as hard as you can and, you know, get the most out of that short bit of time. Because, you know, I don't run more than an hour. So I have to get as much out of that as I can.
What's the longest? So if you're going 8-minute miles, that's about 6-7 miles. So have you ever run a half marathon
I
or
run
a
a half marathon on my own.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, they're 10 and 11-minute miles.
Well, but I've seen tremendous persistence at the ends of marathons, and at least the ones I've seen in Minnesota. And people walk
Yeah.
in, and they're really, really tired.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What would you recommend that the runners eat in the morning before they arrive here?
Nothing strange, nothing unusual. You know, I like granola.
Okay. And
You know, it
then
lasts.
we provide something to drink, some water along the way in case they feel that they need to be rehydrated.
Yep. Yeah, we do. Yeah, they're better off having their substantial meal the night before, and have very little in the morning. Maybe some liquid, maybe a bagel, a small serving of cereal, and then run a good race, and then really eat afterwards. It's easier to have a little less in your stomach, but you don't want to be completely empty.
Right, because you are going to be burning a lot of calories. But seriously, there is kind of a runner's diet, right? Because you've got to keep your potassium levels correct,
Yeah.
because you're perspiring quite a lot, and so do you generally adhere to a diet that you would consider to be a runner's diet?
No, but I use the the supplements after to replace potassium and things like that, just to avoid the headache that sometimes happens.
Headaches, and sometimes have you had cramps? Do you?
I don't cramp
runners
as
cramps?
much, but I don't run on a full stomach either.
Yeah.
So.
But that potassium probably helps with the cramping, I would
I
think.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so we want everybody to stay hale and hearty and healthy through this whole thing. So we just have a few minutes left. So you've already given your phone number, but if you're willing to do it again, Trent, it's probably a good idea to repeat it, because we want to invite everyone who would like to walk or run to call you and register for this event. And so you want to say your phone number again?
Yeah, they can contact me at 860-343-5708, or go to the college website, or go to the Middlesex Community College Foundation website, mxccfoundation.org, to get a race registration form, and they can register in advance, or they can register the day of the race right up until race time, which is 10 a.m.
And we have a Facebook account as well. So is the information on the Facebook page?
Yes.
Good. All right. So, and of course, we want our students to know about this. That would be a great. We have almost 3,000 students. That would fill the roads. But if we could get them all to sign up and come. Now, remember, there's a pre-registration cost of $15, but that expires on October 12th. Today is the 2nd of October, and we're taping this today. And my feeling about time is that it goes by awfully fast. So if they want to make a decision today to get involved, call Trent at the phone number, or check out our website. And otherwise, remember that you can come the morning of the event. And if it's one of those glorious days and you're thinking about how on Halloween night you're going to be with your children, or you yourself are going to be collecting a lot of high-caloric treats, and you want to be prepared to be able to eat as many of those as possible without guilt, you might want to think about coming here on the 27th, on that Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. So I want to thank both of you, and I will be here. I'm going to be out. I hope I have the same job as last time. I was at the 2-mile marker, I believe. It was a very nice, beautiful moment to see all those runners go by, and then the walkers and the babies and the dogs. Were there dogs last year? I think there were. So there were people, just about every kind of possible walk runner on the face of the earth. So I want to thank the two of you for coming here today to talk about this race. Next year we'll be having the 10th annual race. And until then, I want to thank the listeners for staying with us for this half-hour program. To remind you that I'm Anna Wasesha. I'm the president here at Middlesex Community College. And if you're interested in learning more about the college itself, you can go to our website, which is mxcc.edu. This has been the Middlesex Moments radio show, and I am signing off by wishing you a very good day.